Man, you groupie ass, fan out ass, bitches and hoes, groupie ass niggas. Quit. Get out my DM, bro. Something about these motherfucking song niggas, nigga. It's two sides to every story. Just wait till I get out and tell my side. I'm flushing you bitches. I stop there.
Imagine catching your biggest op slipping in broad daylight. No entourage, no security, nobody scanning the block. Your hand already locked on the grip. This is it. The moment you've replayed in your head for months. You lift up, aim center mass, and pull the trigger. Click. Nothing. The gun jams. That's exactly how it went down when Pooh Shiesty raped up on EBG Moose Slime. And I'm not being dramatic when I say this might be one of the wildest, most well-documented street incidents we've seen in a long time. We're talking crystal clear video footage, multiple eyewitnesses who watched it unfold. And Pooh basically confessed to the entire situation himself on record. Now his probation officer has all the details, which likely means a fast track back to prison. But that split second, that wasn't random energy. This was the boiling point of a beef so layered and personal that once you trace it back to the beginning, you'll understand why he was willing to risk everything. A lot of people think they know the backstory. They skimmed a headline, watched a short clip, figured they were informed. You're not even scratching the surface. This tension between Pooh Shiesty and EBG didn't spark from a diss record or Instagram trolling. This runs deeper than social media antics. What if I told you the root of all this traces back to one night when Pooh crossed a line so blatant, so unforgivable in street culture, that reconciliation was never an option? I'm talking about the kind of move that turns rivals into lifelong enemies. The type of disrespect that makes it on sight indefinitely. Here's what really happened. Pooh and his people didn't just exchange words with EBG. They allegedly kicked in a spot connected to them and pulled a robbery. But it wasn't chains, cash, or product they were after. They took the firearms, an entire stash of weapons. Let that sink in. When you take someone's guns, you're not just stealing valuables. You're stripping away their protection, their leverage, their sense of security. You're sending a message that says, I can reach you whenever I want. That's maximum disrespect. It's like invading someone's home, sitting at their table and daring them to react. Except it's worse, because now they're exposed and the entire neighborhood knows it. And here's where it escalates even further. This wasn't some impulsive lick. Word on the street is Pooh had intel. He knew the exact location, where the weapons were stored, and the perfect timing to make the move. That means this wasn't sloppy, it was strategic. And if that's true, someone close fed that information. Now EBG isn't just angry about the robbery. They're questioning their own circle, wondering who opened the door from the inside. And when betrayal mixes with humiliation like that, there's usually only one outcome.
When Pooh finally got caught lacking with that weapon jamming, that was the flashpoint that flipped the entire story. Let me walk you through exactly how it unfolded. But hold on, it gets even wilder. This right here is the piece that truly lit the fuse. This wasn't some accidental run-in where Pooh just stumbled onto an easy play. Word on the street says he had inside information. He allegedly knew the exact house to target. He knew precisely where EBG kept their weapons. He even knew the perfect window to make his move. This wasn't sloppy. It was calculated, mapped out, executed like a mission. Which means somebody from the inside had to talk, and that kind of betrayal fractures crews permanently. Now layer that on top of everything else. You've got a robbery, stolen firearms, possible internal snitching, and a level of disrespect that left EBG feeling like retaliation wasn't a choice, it was a requirement. And they did respond. But nobody was prepared for what happened when both sides finally crossed paths in real life. What came next might be the most chaotic chapter of this entire saga, and trust me, every detail matters. The disrespect was astronomical. Those weren't just a couple random pistols taken either. We're talking heavy artillery, assault-style weapons, the full arsenal. They reportedly maintained a serious collection, and Pooh allegedly cleared it out in one sweep. Imagine realizing your entire defensive edge just vanished overnight. Once that hit the streets, tensions skyrocketed instantly. EBG couldn't let that slide without looking exposed to every other crew in the city. When you get violated on that scale, retaliation stops being optional. it becomes mandatory or your name loses weight. But here's the twist nobody expected. Pooh wasn't ducking low. He was outside talking about it, openly telling people he hit EBG and walked away untouched. That's brazen, but it also stamped a bullseye on his back in permanent ink. The craziest part? Both camps knew this was heading somewhere violent. There was no mediation coming, no calm sit-down. When you take someone's entire stash of weapons, you're declaring war, and that's exactly what it turned into. But here's the unexpected curveball. Instead of immediate gunfire, the first shots were fired on wax. Pooh dropped a diss track squarely aimed at EBG, and he did not hold back. The threats were direct, the names were specific, and he made it clear he was ready to wipe out whoever stood with them. He doubled down, calling EBG weak and powerless after the robbery. The disrespect wasn't theatrical, it felt personal. And what made it even more dangerous was how detailed he got. He wasn't just talking tough in generalities, he was referencing real locations, mentioning relatives, outlining movements. That's not entertainment, that's a public declaration of war. EBG wasn't about to sit quiet through that. They fired back with a response track, and you could hear the anger bleeding through every bar. He went straight at Pooh, branding him fake, saying he only moves with armed backup and can't handle a situation solo.
He went straight at his credibility, questioned his street status, highlighted how he's always surrounded by protection, and vowed that the second they catch him exposed, it's done. The back and forth on wax spiraled into deeply personal territory. Families got mentioned, neighborhoods got disrespected, past situations got dragged up. Nothing was off limits. This stopped being rap competition and turned into real street tension, amplified through music. And everybody paying attention knew somebody was eventually going to bleed. Once those diss tracks started circulating, the entire city began choosing sides. People reposted the songs, made reaction clips, treated the conflict like trending entertainment. But they didn't realize they were pouring gasoline on a fire about to erupt. Social media intensified everything. Every repost, every comment section debate increased the pressure for both camps to prove their lyrics were real. The internet pushed it beyond music, and that's exactly where things spiraled. Pooh's alleged main shooter, a guy known as Hank, believed he spotted an EBG affiliate driving through the area. So what did he do? He opened fire on the vehicle. Here's the horrifying twist. It wasn't an EBG member at all, just an innocent civilian driving a car that resembled one EBG had been seen in. That's beyond reckless. Imagine minding your business and suddenly bullets are flying because someone misidentified your car. Hank had reportedly been circling for weeks looking for EBG targets. He was so amped up and paranoid that every shadow looked like an enemy. So when he saw a similar vehicle, he reacted instantly. No pause, just gunfire. This unfolded in broad daylight on a busy street. Witnesses everywhere, kids nearby, everyday people going about life. Hank turned a normal afternoon into chaos because he couldn't control his impulse. And while firing at that innocent driver, he tried to flee and slammed straight into a pole. That crash is what got him caught. He literally wrecked his own escape. The collision knocked him unconscious. First responders arrived to find him slumped over the steering wheel with the weapon still in his lap. He practically handed himself over. But it gets even darker. The man he shot is now paralyzed. An innocent person permanently paralyzed over a feud that had nothing to do with him. That's devastating when you really process it. The victim was a 23-year-old college student heading home from work. No gang affiliation, no street ties whatsoever. Just wrong place at the worst possible time. The bullet hit his spine. Doctors confirmed he'll never walk again. His entire future shifted in seconds because of someone else's war. One moment, he's a young man with goals and momentum. The next, he's facing life in a wheelchair. His family started a GoFundMe to cover medical expenses, and when the case gained national attention, donations flooded in. But no amount of money restores mobility or erases trauma. Hank was arrested at the crash scene and charged with attempted murder. The judge sentenced him to 20 years, 2 decades behind bars, all because he thought he saw an enemy and reacted without thinking. That's what reckless loyalty looks like. Prosecutors painted him as a volatile individual willing to shoot civilians to prove allegiance to Pooh Shiesty. They introduced prior records, documented gang ties, and past violent incidents. His defense tried arguing self-defense, claiming he believed rivals were about to attack.
But with overwhelming evidence and an innocent victim paralyzed, the jury wasn't convinced. The victim's family attended every day of trial. Seeing their son confined to a wheelchair while listening to testimony about how this happened made sympathy impossible. When the judge read out the 20-year sentence, Hank showed no visible emotion. But his family collapsed in tears, realizing they wouldn't see him free until he was well into middle-aged. That's the ripple effect of street violence. It devastates everyone involved. But that still wasn't the final chapter. The most shocking piece involves what allegedly happened between Pooh Shiesty and EBG Moo Slime, and we know about it because Pooh referenced it in an unreleased track. According to his own lyrics in that leaked song, he was riding around looking for rivals when he spotted Moo Slime. Moo apparently recognized him and immediately ran, but Pooh chased after him on foot. In the way he described it, the pursuit stretched across several blocks. Moo was cutting through alleys, hopping fences, trying every possible escape path, and Pooh stayed right behind him, step for step.
In the track, Pooh Shiesty lays out how he chased EBG Moo Slime through the blocks until Moo stumbled and crashed to the pavement. And listen to this. This is where the whole story flips into something unbelievable. Pooh says he was standing right over EBG Moo Slime while he was down and squeezed the trigger execution style. But hold up, the gun locked up. It jammed at the worst possible second. Pooh had his rival cornered exactly how he imagined it, standing over him, ready to end it all, and the weapon fails? Girl, that's straight out of a movie scene. In the song, Pooh vents about how heated he was when that firearm wouldn't cooperate. He paints the picture of having a clean shot at one of his main ops, and somehow fate stepped in and said, "Not today." When you really sit with that, it's chilling. If that gun had gone off, EBG Moo Slime probably wouldn't be here right now. The bars that had everybody talking describe Pooh pulling the trigger again and again, hearing nothing but empty clicks. He even raps about seeing fear flash across Moo's face, then confusion when the shot never came. Instead of crashing out or firing back publicly, EBG Moo Slime kept it strategic. He simply responded that every story has two sides. He didn't say nothing happened, but he also didn't stamp every detail Pooh put in that verse. He stayed calm and let the internet argue it out. But between us, that silence speaks volumes. If it was pure fiction, he would have shut it down instantly and called cap. His careful wording hints that something did happen, even if the details don't line up perfectly with Pooh's version. EBG Moo Slime's response felt calculated and deliberate. By not diving into specifics, he avoided possibly incriminating himself or handing prosecutors fresh ammo against Pooh. He addressed it without pouring gasoline on an already burning situation. But you won't believe this. Pooh Shiesty putting this in a song could actually violate his parole. He's already under supervision, and now he's rapping about chasing rivals and trying to pull the trigger on them. You know his parole officer heard that track and went straight into panic mode. Parole rules aren't suggestions, zero criminal behavior allowed, and definitely no celebrating or describing violent crimes in public. Parole boards do not play when it comes to guns and attempted murder. Authorities have used rap lyrics as violation evidence before. Even if an artist claims it's just creative expression, officials can argue the content shows a mindset that hasn't changed. If Pooh Shiesty's parole officer decides those lyrics cross the line, he could be headed back to prison fast, and it wouldn't be a quick visit. A parole violation can mean serving out the remainder of the original sentence, plus any new charges that come with it. Legal experts watching this unfold say his lawyers are likely scrambling behind the scenes right now. They can try to lean on artistic freedom, but when real names and real-world incidents are involved, that defense gets a whole lot harder to sell.
What's truly wild about this whole saga is how it perfectly exposes the non-stop cycle of violence in the streets. It kicked off with Pooh Shiesty stealing guns, escalated into diss tracks, and then spiraled into Hank shooting an innocent civilian. And now we're talking about Pooh allegedly trying to gun down EBG Moo Slime. So let me ask you, where does it end? This feud has already shattered multiple families and futures. Hank is locked up for 20 years. An innocent man is paralyzed for life. Pooh could be headed back to prison. And somehow the chaos just keeps climbing. The only ones profiting are prisons and funeral homes. The fact that a random civilian ended up paralyzed in the middle of all this, that's the part that should stop everyone cold. He had nothing to do with the beef, no ties to street politics at all. And now his entire life is permanently altered because someone thought they spotted the wrong car. The saddest part? This was avoidable. If Pooh had walked away after that first robbery, none of this unfolds the way it did. But ego and reputation convinced both sides that backing down wasn't an option, until somebody paid the ultimate price.
Social media poured fuel on a fire that was already burning. Every repost, every diss track reaction, every viral clip just added more gasoline. The non-stop online spotlight created pressure for both camps to prove they live what they rap. When thousands of people are watching your every move, walking away feels like losing. Young fans who idolize these artists started picking sides and arguing online. Some even jumped in with their own threats and diss tracks, spreading the tension to a whole new crowd. Once it goes viral, there's no undo button. Neither side felt like they could step back without looking weak. As of now, Pooh Shiesty is still out on parole, but that could change overnight. You already know his lawyers are working overtime trying to clean this up. They might argue the lyrics are fictional or just artistic expression. But when real names and real incidents are involved, that defense gets shaky fast. The streets are watching what happens next. If Pooh goes back behind bars, this beef either cools off or explodes even harder. Sometimes when the main face gets locked up, the crew feels pressure to act on their behalf, and that just keeps the cycle spinning. Law enforcement is paying close attention too. They know when beefs turn public like this, retaliation often follows. Patrols are probably being increased in the neighborhoods both sides move in. The music industry is watching closely as well. This case could shape how courts treat rap lyrics moving forward. If Pooh gets violated over a song, other rappers might start rethinking what they put in their verses. This whole situation is a warning sign about the real cost of street life. What started as a robbery has already wrecked several lives and could damage even more before it's over. The most frustrating part is that there's real talent here being wasted on revenge. Pooh is genuinely skilled and had the potential to go mainstream without all this chaos attached. But now his momentum could stall before it ever fully takes off. For the young people glued to this story, the message couldn't be clearer. This path doesn't lead anywhere good. Even when you think you're winning in the streets, you lose in the long run. Prison, a grave, or a lifetime spent looking over your shoulder. Those really are the only endings on the table. The fact that we're sitting here analyzing rappers basically detailing attempted murder in their verses tells you something in the culture is off balance. But listen, if this breakdown gave you new insight into this wild situation, hit that like button and tell me what you think in the comments. Do you believe Pooh's parole is about to get revoked? Or should he have kept quiet instead of putting that moment in a song for the whole world to dissect?